much are you improvising?
Very few parts. All are his composition. I'm just doing here and there a little bit of whatever I can in my musical sense.
Okay, so he's given you some bass rhythm on which you are embellishing a little bit, or is everything composed? I'm just curious about how much
No,
is composed and how much is
so
actually.
I'm following the 75% his track the way it was, and rest little bit I'm adding here and there. That's what I'm doing.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah, unfortunately, we just about have enough time to play the last song.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think.
I can answer your question like right after we play the song.
Yeah.
Just because we won't be able to play live like loud music because there's a play starting. So I can answer questions, but I would just really like to play the song. I hope that's okay with everyone.
All right. So what's the song?
Yeah. You can announce it.
Yeah, sure. So I mean, this last song is called Foxgloves, Amethyst. So yeah, take it away, guys. Yeah, so please give it up for, I'd like to reintroduce the band again. So we have Kunal Rohit on drums. And yeah, so Kunal is a professional full-time drummer. So along with playing for this gig, he also plays for a lot of other bands, and he's a professional full-time drummer. So if you have a band and you need a drummer or any drumming services, you know the guy to go to. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, I wasn't sure.
Give it up to Kunal.
Alright, and on bass we have Mr. Rohit Lalwani. So, I mean, right now he's playing the bass, but he also has his own band. He's a guitar player and the vocalist and he's a very accomplished guitar player. I mean, and yeah, he's a frontman for the band called Lal and the People. And yeah, you guys should definitely go and check it out, man. It's an amazing band, and yeah, you guys should definitely go and check it out. And obviously, we have Amir for whom most of y'all have come in.
Thank you everyone for coming. We can take more questions now, we just can't play more music. So we have some time, so we can all relax, and as many questions as you want, we can sit down and answer as many questions.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Until they kick us out.
Yeah. For playing live music.
Yeah, anybody has more questions?
Excuse me,
Can you put some light on the other?
could you come forward?
Sorry, I moved the chair just to play.
Perfect.
Yeah.
हाँ पता है आधा ही घंटा हुआ है तेरे को ऐसा पता चला
Hi. Hello.
Yeah.
Do you take help of any kind of AI during the recording sessions?
Great question, very relevant to the current scenario of things. Okay, I can confidently say that all of this music has not sort of been influenced by AI of any kind, apart from song titles. That is the only sort of way that I don't like just push myself in that direction. Like I sort of just put some random query, and like a lot of these names have come up only because like people have suggested me something. Like Caramel Sunset was something that my wife suggested. She was drinking a caramel frappuccino and we were watching the sunset, so we just put two and two together. So again, the names are very arbitrary, but sometimes when I have to I'm really maxing out on my capability to come up with song names, I use ChatGPT, but apart from that, I haven't figured out the application of AI in my music just yet, so that could be why I have not used any of it yet. Also, when these songs were written, AI was not existing. So.
I mean, AI was existing, but we weren't aware of it.
Not accessible, yes, sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, since the song was called Caramel Sunset and it has the word caramel in it, you can even charge 18% GST on it, you never know. Yeah, so, yeah, any more questions? Yeah.
I'll just shout a small question.
Yeah, okay, no, we'll take it one at a time. Sure, we have everyone. We have time,
Since you've performed in Philadelphia as well, is there any big difference in the way the scene is over there, how easy it is to get performances or how easy it is to play compared to here?
Great question, very relevant to us musicians. And for Pune, I think I will refer to one of these two because they are active musicians in Pune. So I will speak about Philadelphia though. Since it is, thank you Mama for coming. Since it is very well established as like a music scene, Philadelphia has a very well established music scene, and there's places that have live music every day, if not like at least on Thursday to Sunday. So it is relatively easy to get a show, but the barrier to entry is very high because there are bands like pretty much everywhere. Like I have a friend of mine has traveled from the US. Shout out to Justin. He's right here. He's also in a band. He does music professionally, and if you want to come up on stage and speak about the Philadelphia scene, I wouldn't mind.
Oh, sure.
So I would also like have his insight. So I could give you a chair.
Yeah, you can take a seat over here.
So it's very relevant that we get more opportunities there. but again, the barrier to entry is a little bit high, so like it depends on where you play. And Justin will elaborate more on Philadelphia, and then a few cents from Rohit and Kunal on Pune.
Yes, I met Amaya at a open jam that we do in Philadelphia. It's every Wednesday night, completely improvised live music. He just started showing up. He was very friendly, introduced himself, and became friends from there. But every 10 minutes, 5 or 6 people get off stage, and 5 or 6 new people get on stage, and it's 1, 2, 3, go, and you have to make up a song with sometimes complete strangers, and be entertaining, be good, listen to each other. And it's helped us both. I can speak for myself personally, and I've seen your playing improve in the year or so that
Almost a year.
yeah that you've been coming around. So as far as getting gigs, there are a lot of places to play, but there's a lot of competition. So you really have to hone your craft and be good at what you do if you want to expect people to come see you, pay to see you, because there's dozens of other great bands in Philadelphia that they could go see. A lot of our friends in the scene, it's like, what are you doing this weekend? Friday I'm here, Saturday I'm there. So it's difficult if you take it seriously. It's not difficult. If you don't, and it becomes pretty difficult. I guess that's the way to put it. Thanks for putting me on the spot, by the way.
No, you can give your band a shout out also.
My band is called Koser. It's Koser. Yeah.
I'll ask you to also speak about Porch Fest, if you know.
Sure.
Porch Fest. Oh, Porch Fest. Oh, okay, great. You're West Philly or?
Yeah, West Philly.
Oh, okay. West Philly Porch Fest is the big Porch Fest where you get hundreds of people in the middle of the street blocking traffic to listen to live bands, and it's branched out to other parts of the city as well. We have one in Roxborough where I live. Not quite as impressive though. But so people, just residents of the city, just open up their front porches to bands. They'll book it themselves. They'll figure out the sound systems, and it's completely free, and there's thousands of people walking around the neighborhood. Go watch 20 minutes of this band, run 4 blocks away. Go watch 10 minutes of this band, run a couple blocks away. It's a lot of fun. Yeah.
I'm thinking they should do that in Pune.
Yeah, absolutely. They should do it everywhere. It's like one of the most fun days of the year. So
I played Porch Fest for the first time in Roxborough just earlier this year actually, in 2024, not in 2025. So last year, and before that, I've only attended Porch Fest, and the only reason I realized that I did not play is because I did not reach out to someone on time. So the opportunities are definitely there, and as you mentioned, the barrier to entry is high only because of the number of bands. Like Porch Fest is an open to all fest, and in a day there is 150 bands performing from 12 noon to like 6 p.m. So you can imagine, like, that's the number of bands that are out there who are trying to get a gig at every spot in the city. So you do have to like work on your craft. There's no excuse to like not be working with your band. And these guys, like, they practice every Monday, and then they are releasing stuff, and they're playing at some of the better venues in the city. But they've only gotten there by playing pretty much everywhere else. Thank you again, Justin. Please give it up for him. He's come all the way from USA just to watch this show and also explore India. So thank you again.
Yep.
And Rohit will elaborate on how it is going to be in Pune a little bit.
Check. Yeah. So, see, we can't really compare the culture here with, how it is in the West as such, because it's very nascent from the beginning. Plus, it's just been hardly 2 decades since we've actually started getting guitar strings and guitars and everything in the first place, right? Because like 2 generations before, like it was hard to even get a guitar in the first place. It's not the culture exactly, but we are like very fortunate right now because we can make a living at least playing music, because I make a living playing music. I'm very grateful and very thankful. And it's obviously difficult because you have to be an octopus and just you branch it out, like you teach, you do session work, you play commercial gigs, you work for jingles and all stuff. So even like the biggest bands in India right now who perform and they have a big audience and everything, it's not their main thing still, because they're still doing things at the back, because Because again, like, see, again, if you think about it, in the West, it's every state has 20, 25 towns or cities that you can play. Here, it's like you can just like count on your fingers, right? Because it's just the major cities in every state, and especially if you're playing English music and Western influence, progressive rock music, pop music, whatever it is, right? As long as it's not regional, even for the regional bands for that matter, right? Like, cause you can't be a sitar player for that matter and just like make a living out of it, right? Because it's just it's a different culture altogether in this country for that matter, and especially with things that have happened like last year or so, like a lot of venues have shut down, particularly in Pune, and the budgets have gone down. So it's completely different. Like there's no way we can make a comparison. But I mean, all the musicians who do this for a living are still grateful to be able to do this in the first place. And how like for our generation, it's like doable and it's like possible to do this in the first place. So yeah, that's a huge difference between India per se. But if you compare like Southeast Asia and all, it's like you still can make a living being a musician, right? So that's, I mean, we're still grateful. So yeah.
Thank you, Rohit, and thank you for the great question.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, sure. Actually, sir wanted to ask, and then. Yeah, just before that, there are a few announcements that I'd like to make and a few people that I'd like to thank. Yeah, so yeah, I can do that afterwards. Also.
Yeah, no worry. बसून विचारलं तरी चालेल.
जसं भारतीय संगीतामध्ये ताल, सूर, मात्रा याचं एक शास्त्र आहे. तसं या संगीताचं काही शास्त्र आहे का, आणि असेल तर काही फरक काय पडतो?
Great question. So फरक असा आहे की म्युझिक थिअरी ही वेस्टर्न म्युझिकला ॲप्लिकेबल असणारी ही म्युझिक थिअरी ही अवेलेबल आहे. त्याचा अभ्यास आपण फक्त इथे करत नाही as in it's like it is available for us to like go and explore, and that's what I have done. Like all of these songs, like ही जी सगळी मी गाणी लिहिली आहेत ह्याचा बेस हा म्युझिक थिअरी आहे, but that's like the western influence of like it's called western music theory. And for that, like there are schools out there that offer degrees in music, so you can actually go and study either jazz music or just classical music or just music theory in general. So त्याचं शास्त्र हे music theory, हे western classical music theory हे आहे, and those are the principles that I use to make all of these songs. In more ways than one, it is very similar. Like there are only like 12 notes, and that's very similar to what like Sa Re Ga Ma Pa Dha Ni Sa is, and like all the komal and tivra swar in between. So the fundamentals are essentially the same, I would say. Just the application in Indian terms is a little bit nuanced, and it requires you to learn that from a teacher who has been trained classically. But you can always like branch out, and you can apply principles of both interchangeably, and it still works. We have time for any more questions.
Yeah.
Okay.
My question, I think he asked half of it. So,
okay.
And most of my questions got answered anyways. So I just wanted to ask this band, I mean Amir, Ranjit, Rohit and Kunal, do any of you all play Indian instruments as well? Do you have a base of Indian classical music as well? And if yes, then do you, or have you in the past or in the future plan to create kind of a fusion music where you can make a fusion of progressive rock? First of all, thank you so much for introducing progressive rock to us. I grew up on November Rain, so I mean, what kind of music I've grown up on. But progressive rock, I could figure out a few elements of it, maybe some nuances I got to know today. But and thank you so much for that. So my question is, have you ever thought of fusing the two? I mean, Indian as classical as well as the Western music. Has that thought come across?
Sure.
Hi. So it's very interesting because considering how technology has, like taken its form in the recent years, or even just, in the last decade or so, everything is sort of achievable digitally. So as I work as an ad film, composer and this and that, you have to hear what the client needs. And generally they don't have a lot of budget. Or even if they do, you can be smart about it and you can make the most profit by removing other variables, which is also like, it's almost, it's sacrilege for a lot of people, but like for instance, if somebody asks you to hire a sitar player, you'd be like, okay, sure, but you actually just compose a sitar and use what is called the MIDI sounds, and you can't tell the difference. And so again, like how Uncle asked the question, how it, all sort of kind of what do you call it? Amalgamates, right? The Indian classical theory and the Western classical theory. If you know either one of those, this one actually, honestly, Western classical theory, comprises of all the things that can be done, which Indian classical actually doesn't have. Because Indian classical doesn't have the concept of harmony as well. So all those things combined, you can use that to fake your way through it, but nobody can tell the difference. So I myself, not being a sitar player, I can compose what I want, put a tanpura, right, improvise on top of it, using my keyboard, and then like, sort of edit it out, and how you produce it, how you do, right? You can even add the tabla sounds as well, and they sound really crisp, which of course, like, you eliminate the playing fee for the tabla player that you have to pay, the sound that you have to record in a studio space, pay for the producer, pay for the recording engineer. There's so many variables and so much of, cost cutting you can do. So a lot of the guys in the ad industry, if you listen to a jingle on the TV and stuff, and you hear something very Indian classical, it's mostly not played by the Indian classical actual players. So it's a very interesting thing, because like once you understand music theory and how different cultures work and what kind of modes or scales or this and that, whatever, like, technical terms are there, you can use that stuff and like you can produce like an oriental sound, get instruments which like people use in China, or like in Indian classical terms this, right, or Middle Eastern instruments like oud and stuff, right? So it's very interesting how the technology has taken shape and you can use it how you want.
And I'll answer your earlier part of the question. Have we had any classical training? Me personally, I have. I have learned, I was taking singing lessons, so I've taken singing lessons for a long time, and I learned Indian classical music. I also used to sing, but funnily enough, now my music is instrumental. But yeah, I think and to answer the next part of your question, does that help? Yes, but it comes in very unconsciously. I don't think I am thinking that, oh, I really need to pull in my Indian classical influences here while making music. Not really, but I listen to it a lot more than what I would sort of, let it show through my work. But I'm always listening to like fusion bands, and whether or not I will do some fusion stuff, it's tough because like the greatest Indian classical fusion band out there is considered to be Shakti, who is John McLaughlin on guitar and the late Zakir Hussain on tabla, and everybody who's been associated with them since then. And the level that they play is frankly just scary. Like in fact, like it scares me to even like try something like that. So maybe I'm not like proficient enough yet, but that's definitely a possibility. I don't deny that because I can't speak for myself or my tastes in the future. But if they become significant enough, like all of these influences become significant enough, then it will naturally just show through my work. And I'll allow that, then try to chase it.
I don't know if you're talking out of modesty, but I really hope and I wish that you reach that level, that someday you will be able to do this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thanks. And Kunal, by any chance, are you a raw agent? Because you hardly look like a drummer.
You want to answer that? I'm sure it wasn't rhetoric, man. No.
Also, before I forget, I gave everybody a shout out, but someone who's very, very important to the show, please give it up for Gabriel on live sound today and his team. So Gabriel used to to also help us do live sound all the way back in 2016, and now he has sort of grown since, but he looks the same, so he doesn't age a day. But he's been gracious enough to like come in on some very short notice and really bless us, because we won't sound like this if it's not for like the live sound. So big shout out to Gabriel for coming down and like helping me run the show so smoothly.
Hello. Hi, I have one question.
Go ahead.
First of all, great brand.
Thank you.
Really thoroughly enjoyed it. So I have one question. When it comes to conventional or our mainstream music, you have a poetry, lyrics, and then you have a composer. And then they make a great track. So when it comes to your abstract music, do you have any theme or poetry in mind? And how do you get those inspiration to make such great tracks?
First of all, thank you for the kind words. I'm glad you enjoyed the tracks. These tracks have been composed over the last 3 years, and in terms of inspiration, it is literally like everyday life. Like I wrote these songs while I was like working full time. I still do, but I just don't commute. I work from home now, but back then I used to take a lot of train rides. So a train ride to work was like an hour and 30 minutes, and in that time I used to read a lot or just listen to some music or like see whatever scenery is passing me, and just everyday life really. Like if I go for a walk and like there's something nice, or if I read something as an article, a movie, an Instagram video, like the possibilities are endless, but it's very mundane activities in my day that are sort of influencing me when I come back and when I sit down with my guitar and when I write. Those themes are just playing in my head, and I'm almost just trying to like put like soundtracks or like make sounds that go along with those visuals inside my head. There are definite themes. So the running theme for like the album could say that it's like Foxgloves has like an intro track which is genuinely like a train track or like a train going on a track, and it's like recording, so that's how it starts. So I wrote Foxgloves with this theme in mind, that it's a song that you can hear on those really long journey, and you have this endless scenery and you're like on a straight road and you just can keep going, and the song sort of just keeps playing because it's like a similar part which is repeated over and over again. And then I just had to put a solo in there because it's progressive rock, and like you can't just keep listening to the same thing. So it's a mix of like both, like songwriting principles and just my everyday life and whatever I'm seeing visually or whatever I'm reading or just consuming. So a lot of consumption happens, and then I really just take a break from like consumption in terms of music specifically. So while I was writing these tracks, for the 2 weeks before I wrote the final parts on all of these tracks, since these ideas have been sort of going on forever, I stopped listening to any kind of music because I just did not want any real influences to like come in there, because I just wanted to see how original I can, and whether or not those parts are complex or simple is up to like other people to decide. But I wanted to make something very uniquely original and not be influenced by everybody who I've been listening to so much. So I consume a lot of music, I consume a lot of visual media, and that's where collaborations with artists like Omisha helps me, because they have a certain perspective that they share, and then you can sort of take your path with it and sort of compose your music to go with those visuals in your head. So I hope that answers your question like a little bit, but I can elaborate more if you want to go down to more specifics.
No, I think that answers everything. So I just want to say, I follow Yanni, and I got a flavor of Yanni when you play certain tracks, So I want you to see there at some point of time.
Thank you, that is very kind of you, and Yanni of course is like one of the greatest ever, and he's a great inspiration for us all. Yeah, I mean, thank you, that's really kind of you, so thank you again.
Yeah, talking about that, I mean, we all stand on the shoulders of giants, and we all have, we all, whatever you have composed, and and any musician's journey is, influenced by a lot of like musicians, like who we've been listening to. So it's really, the credit goes to all of these people who we've been listening to.
Absolutely, very well said. That like I must clarify that I'm really not reinventing the wheel in any way. Like all of the music that you guys are hearing is just what I sort of interpret in my own way, but this kind of music that like I can tell you a few artists that you can go and listen to, and you will really get a knack for like what progressive rock should sound like. And these are bands that are at such a high level, and they operate on like world tours, and they are constantly touring and constantly coming up with new music like year after year. So my productivity is very minimal because I do this part-time, so it's not possible for me to commit like months and months to like write albums and then consequently tour. But there are artists out there who are doing this year after year, and then they go on tours on the back of those albums, and they've released 4 albums in a space of 4 years, including singles and EPs in the middle. So that's something that of course like I strive to do, but I do what I can with my own time. And then I get to play in places like this with artists like Kunal and Rohit. So I consider myself like very lucky to be even able to do this and give this much time to this art. So I'm not like reinventing anything in music. All of the music that I know has been already produced, and I would even say that there are people who are doing it better, but I still try to do my best.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Amir.
We have another question.
All right. So, cool. Yeah, sure.
Just
Go
a
ahead.
question about the instruments, both for you and Rohit. Look, your guitar looks interesting, and I guess Rohit, similar question to both of you. Do you play? Is there a guitar that is meant for this kind of music? For both of you. I don't know. Maybe you can answer it.
Rohit, do you want to start off? You can start. I'll go later.
It's an interesting question, but so the thing is like this sort of music, for instance, even though it's a little modern, it still comes from the progressive rock from the 70s and stuff.
Yeah.
When these sort of instruments didn't exist in the first place. So people were still actually playing with whatever minimal instruments were available back then. Like, so I use one of those, like, which is something called a Fender Stratocaster, which is like a usual benchmark of guitars, which has been used since the 50s. So like it's still going on strong, and people are still buying them, and they are like very much quite prized possession for a lot of people. So for instance, I play blues rock for my band, so like that way it comes out pretty handy. But I'm sure it can still be played in this music, because ultimately like sound wise, I mean mapping of musical notes are going to be the same on any guitar. So it still can be played, but I think like for instance this guitar for that matter, it's a very cultural thing. So what this guitar is like it's a very modern sort of design, and a lot of those things, because if you also look at it, it's not very bulky, so it's like it's easy to carry, it's meant, it's very practical, it's very economical, although it's not, it doesn't cost very less, to be honest. But yeah, it's a great guitar, and it's like in this sort of a genre, a lot of people tend to use this because a lot of the specifications on the guitar, plus the electronics, plus the pickups as they call it, and the fretboard, how it's designed and everything, it's just very economical to be just flying around on the fretboard. So it's for instance, like it's sleek as well, right? So it kind of gives the player to like just be able to move around in a lot of ease, with a lot of ease. So yeah, so to answer your question, it is there actually, if you think about it, because you can still play the same music on other guitars, but it won't sound the same. So yeah.
Yeah, I would also like agree with him to an extent, and also like share just my story. This is just a guitar that I own, but I also have other guitars which I use for whatever is really the application. And I think that's just the thing with guitar players, that you can never have enough. So it's really just a thing, and not that I had anything in mind, like I didn't really compose anything so that I could buy this guitar and then take it on tour. Like those songs were already happening back in Kat Kamikaze. Like I had like a regular 6-string guitar which was being used to play those songs because that was the only guitar that I had. But the other side of the story is that at some point, gear does matter. Okay, so in the current sort of era of things, and the bands that I'm trying to replicate, or just like take inspiration from, because replicate is like not a good idea. But the bands that inspire me are using the exact setup that I am using currently. So investing in that is only so that I can get a sound output that is sort of at that level. If I was to open for a band at that level, and if I got that opportunity, they really screen their opening acts in such a way that like their live sound has to sort of match what they are performing to their audience. So if you're being exposed to their audience is almost used to like hearing certain kinds of elements that are coming out through your processors and the songs that sound a certain way. So to do that and to ensure that that happens every time and I can sort of make my job easier, that was the whole reason of like buying this guitar. But now I find like my influences are changing and I want to play some different kind of music. So I'm probably going to go buy another guitar. But not that I will not find use for this one. It will always remain like, if I have to play this set, then I would rather play this guitar than anything else. But yeah, it shouldn't stop you from like playing the genre of music that you should. Like, I would really just start off with what you have and get to a level where like there is no point of like it's a point of no return. You really need to sort of upgrade your gear setup to play live, and then that's where I reached. So that's when I invested in this guitar and have been playing it ever since.
All right, thanks, man. All right, so I guess we can conclude, and you can always catch Ameya later. He's there for a couple of minutes right now as well afterwards. So yeah, so there are a couple of people that we'd like to thank just to close things down. Obviously, this is an amazing venue, the Box, which is essentially built by Mr. Pradeep Vaidya and his team. And yeah, so this is a great venue which hosts a lot of primarily plays and exhibitions and a lot of artistic events which are hosted over here. So I would encourage you to come check it out and check out all the events that keep on happening over here. Follow them on their social media. You'll be able to find the social media from any of the team members. And yeah, thank you to Pradeep sir and the entire team, Soham and the rest of the team members who really were there since the morning and helped us set up all of this. And yeah, and another special thanks to Vineet Alurkar, who gave us a lot of guidance on how to set this up and put all the contacts together. He got us. He essentially got all the contacts together and gave us all the contact details on who to contact and for getting stuff done. So yeah, thanks to Vineet for that. And yeah, obviously thanks to Gabe on sound again. He's doing a brilliant job, and he's also a sound engineer by profession. So yeah, he does a lot of sound engineering stuff. Yeah, sorry.
So please reach out to him, and a couple of people that I would like to thank. Please, I would really like to thank my grandparents who are here, my parents, and everybody of my dad's friends, Sanjeev sir, Omisha, my cousins here from Mumbai, just to like watch the show. My other cousins are here who also live in Pune, but I haven't had a chance to meet them. Thank you again for coming. Naren Kaka is here, Anand Kaka is here. Everybody who just came only to watch me play. These songs were like written in my bedroom. I never imagined like I would be able to play them live, and I'm so happy that I'm presenting them to all of you. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. And it is because of all of you that it just like keeps me going. Hopefully that I'll get to do this again sometime. And of course, a big round of applause for everybody who has helped me, including Ranjit, who's been there since day one. So please give him a round of applause. And one last time for Rohit and Kunal for helping me do this session. Thank you so much. You guys have been great. I really loved answering all of these questions. And I will see you next time.
Yeah, sure. So just to close things down, when you walk out of here, when you walk out of the main gate, you will probably see a table on the left side in which you'll see 2 QR codes. Okay, so one of the QR codes is the QR, like this is a DIY event basically. I mean, so we didn't really want to put a lot of like hard ticketing onto it, and it was just like friends and family who wanted to check out Ameya's stuff. So that was always Ameya's agenda of hosting this event. But I mean, we would always encourage you to if you walk out of here, there's a 1 QR code for payment. So we would encourage you to give like a contribution of 100 rupees or higher, which is written on the QR code as you will see when you walk out. And this will help Ameya probably curate a lot of events going forward in the future. And this will also probably pave the way for many such discussions, Q&A discussions around like music and yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, and there's also another QR code in which it's written music. So that you'll have to probably scan through your camera through Google Lens, and then that will lead you to a link in which all of Ameya's music is available, all of his links are available, and all of Rohit's links are also available of his band Lal and the People. So you should definitely scan that code as well and check it out. All right. So yeah, so do check out both those QR codes, and in general, I would to just close, I would just encourage everyone to support whatever art form that you are into. It's important to support the artist, go to their shows and buy tickets for their shows, which will really help the artist in a long way to put out more material and grow as an artist and put out more material and help them keep doing this and help probably more artists to do this. Yeah. So again, thank you all for coming and have a good night. Thank you.